Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
You bet.
Today we're diving into a story it's a story that's it's sending shockwaves through the sports media world.
Really is. And it's got all the ingredients of a real blockbuster. We're talking accusations of sexual harassment,
Oh yeah.
a hostile work environment,
Mm-hmm.
even some surprising revelations about romantic relationships.
Right, and it's all playing out on this very public stage of sports television.
Yeah, what's really fascinating to me about this whole thing is how this lawsuit,
Right.
which was filed by a former hairstylist for Fox Sports,
Okay.
it's really pulled back the curtain on what seems to be a much deeper problem
Oh wow.
within the network.
Okay, so let's start with the basics.
Sure.
Who are we talking about here?
So the woman who filed the lawsuit, her name is Nushin Faraji,
Okay.
and she's taken on some really big names.
Like who?
So we're talking Fox Sports.
Okay.
Its parent company, Fox Corporation,
Right.
and a whole roster of individuals,
Okay.
including the sports commentator Skip Bayless,
Oh yeah.
current Fox Sports 1 host Joy Taylor,
Wow.
and even a Fox Sports executive, Charlie Dixon,
So Faraji, she was a hairstylist at Fox Sports for how long?
for a decade.
A decade.
A decade. She claims that whole experience was just overshadowed by this really pervasive culture of misogyny,
Really?
racism, and even ableism.
I mean, a decade. That's a long time
It is.
to endure a hostile work environment and to make things worse.
Mhm.
She's now saying that she was fired in 2024 for speaking out about all of this.
Yeah, and not just this. She believes that she was fired under completely fabricated reasons.
Wow.
And get this, the lawsuit even goes on to allege that Fox retaliated against other people
Really?
who tried to report wrongdoing while actually promoting
Oh my gosh.
the very people who were responsible for it.
So if that's true, it sounds like they were trying to silence people?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it paints a pretty disturbing picture of a company that might be actively, trying to protect those in power.
Yeah. And punishing people for speaking up.
Exactly.
That's scary.
It is.
All right, well, let's get into some of the specific accusations here.
Okay.
Let's start with Skip Bayless because
Yeah.
a lot of sports fans know that name.
Yeah.
And these allegations against him are pretty serious.
Yeah, they are. And they go back to 2017,
Okay.
involving unwanted physical contact and some really inappropriate comments.
Really?
To be completely frank, she even accuses him of offering her money in exchange for sex.
Oh, wow.
Now, it is important for our listeners to remember that at this point, these are just accusations.
Of course.
But if they're true, they paint a very disturbing picture of his behavior.
And she says it got even worse in 2021
That's right.
when she claims that Bayless threatened her job because she rejected his advances.
Yeah, and on top of that, she alleges that he made some really insensitive remarks about her Muslim faith and culture.
It's interesting that this was all happening around the same time that his show Undisputed was going through some changes too.
Right, right. You're talking about when Shannon Sharpe left in 2024.
Exactly.
And the show lost a lot of viewers and then eventually got canceled.
Yeah, so he was already dealing with all of that professional upheaval,
Exactly.
and now these allegations come out.
Right.
But this lawsuit, it goes beyond just Skip Bayless.
It does. It takes a pretty sharp turn towards another big name at Fox Sports,
And who's that?
Joy Taylor.
Oh, wow, Joy Taylor.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know Joy Taylor.
So she co-hosts Speak
Right.
alongside Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
And she's built a really strong reputation in the sports world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's very active on social media. She's got a
Yeah.
huge following.
Yeah.
But these allegations, they're bringing a whole different kind of attention to her now.
And what exactly is Faraji accusing Taylor of?
Well, she claims that Taylor bullied her based on her ethnicity,
Wow.
made fun of her English.
Really?
And get this, the lawsuit claims that Taylor complained about Faraji humming. Yeah, which Faraji says was her way of coping with PTSD.
Oh, wow.
And I think this detail is really important because it highlights how seemingly small behaviors in the workplace can have a real impact
Yeah.
on someone's mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this next part of the lawsuit, it's really fueled a lot of the controversy online.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
So Faraji, she also alleges that Taylor was romantically involved with a former NFL player and Fox Sports analyst Emmanuel Acho,
Okay.
and that they were engaged in a sexual relationship.
Okay.
And obviously this revelation has set social media on fire. I mean,
Yeah.
people are talking about the complexities of workplace relationships,
Of course.
especially when power dynamics are involved.
Right. And the backlash against Taylor online has been intense.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this whole situation really shows how allegations like these,
Yeah.
even before there's any kind of legal judgment,
Mm-hmm.
they can completely derail someone's career and reputation.
Oh, yeah, especially with social media nowadays. Exactly.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, social media gives victims a platform
Should speak up.
to share their stories, to speak up exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it can also lead to these instant judgments
Right.
and potentially ruin careers before all the facts are out there.
Right before they're even proven guilty or innocent.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that due process is really important.
It is, and we'll get into some of the bigger implications of that later.
Okay.
But before we move on, there's one more person named in this lawsuit that we need to talk about,
Okay.
and that's Charlie Dixon. He's a Fox Sports executive.
Right. Yeah. And the allegations against Dixon, they're just as serious as those against Bayless.
Oh, wow.
She's claiming that he subjected her to sexual harassment and even physical assault.
Okay, so this isn't just on-air personality. We're talking about this goes deeper.
Exactly. It suggests that the misconduct might extend to, individuals in positions of power behind the scenes.
And this lawsuit, it's not just about individual accusations.
Right.
It aims to be a class action lawsuit.
Okay, so for people who might not be familiar with that term, what does that mean?
Sure. So basically it means that other people who have similar claims against Fox
Okay.
could actually join the lawsuit,
Wow.
creating a much larger legal battle.
So this could potentially affect a lot of people.
Yeah, current and former Fox employees, potentially.
And that really raises some questions about the culture at Fox Sports, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, is this a case of just, a few bad actors?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there something more systemic going on?
Yeah, is this a bigger problem?
Right. And this lawsuit, it doesn't hold back. I mean, it names names.
Really?
It even mentions the possibility of other high-ranking executives being involved.
Like who?
Well, it mentions Mark Silverman,
Okay.
who's the president and COO,
Wow.
and Eric Shanks, the CEO and executive producer.
So this could really escalate quickly
It could.
and put some powerful people in a difficult position.
Absolutely.
So have any of the people named in the lawsuit actually responded publicly?
Well, as of right now, Fox Sports has released a short statement.
And what did they say?
They're saying that they're taking the allegations seriously,
Okay.
but they're not offering any further comment.
Because of the litigation.
Exactly. It's pretty standard practice in these situations.
Yeah, legal teams typically tell companies to stay quiet
Right.
while a case is pending.
Exactly.
Okay, so Fox Sports is keeping it pretty close to the vest.
Mm-hmm.
What about Bayless, Taylor, and Dixon? Have they said anything?
No, not publicly.
And that silence is deafening.
Well, I mean, they could be following legal advice too,
Right,
but the fact that they haven't even issued a denial or expressed any kind of remorse,
right.
it's really fueled public scrutiny.
It's a tough situation, right?
It is.
Because they have the right to remain silent,
Right.
let the legal process play out.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, that silence can be seen as, maybe an admission of guilt or at least a lack of empathy
Yeah.
for the accuser.
It's a tough line to walk for sure.
It is.
Hmm.
But while some are staying silent, there are others who are very publicly standing by their loved ones.
Right. You're talking about Skip Bayless's wife,
Exactly.
Ernestine Sclafani Bayless,
Yeah.
who he married in 2016.
Right.
She recently shared a really upbeat New Year's message on social media with her husband.
And that's a stark contrast to what's being alleged in the lawsuit,
Right, because Faraji claims the harassment started in 2017.
which was just a year after he got married.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how differently people can perceive the same situation.
Yeah, it's like we only see a small part of what's really going on.
Right, exactly. And it's not our place to speculate,
Of course not.
but it's definitely an interesting contrast.
Yeah, and speaking of relationships, Joy Taylor was previously married too
Oh, right.
to a former baseball player, Richard Giannotti.
Yeah.
But they divorced in 2017.
Okay.
And she's not currently married.
So we've got a lot going on here.
We do.
We've got these accusations, high-profile figures,
Yeah.
a lawsuit that could really impact Fox Sports.
Yeah.
And everyone involved.
And in this case, it goes beyond just sports and entertainment.
It does.
This is about accountability in the workplace,
Right.
appropriate conduct,
Mm-hmm.
and the role of social media in all of this.
Absolutely.
This case, it's really resonated with people,
It has.
not just sports fans.
I think it's because it exposes that potential for abuse
Yeah.
that can exist in any industry.
Especially when there's a power imbalance.
Exactly.
Yeah, it feels like this case is really making us confront some some ugly truths about the workplaces we create
Yeah.
and the behaviors that we sometimes tolerate, you know?
It's true. And it's easy to think that this kind of thing only happens in certain industries.
Right.
But this story is a good reminder that any industry can be vulnerable.
Especially ones with these power imbalances,
Yeah.
like sports and entertainment.
And I think one of the most important things to come out of this is
Yeah.
the need to really believe people.
Who come forward with these kinds of allegations?
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to do that,
It does.
especially when you're talking about powerful people or institutions.
Absolutely. And we can't forget that saying silent,
Yeah,
being complicit, can be just as damaging.
as the actions themselves.
Exactly.
So where do we go from here? What happens next?
Well, I mean, the legal process will definitely continue.
Right.
But beyond that, I think this case could really be a turning point.
Yeah.
It could force Fox Sports to take a hard look at itself.
At their workplace culture.
Yeah, at their workplace culture, at their hiring practices, at how they handle complaints.
And maybe it'll inspire others who've been through similar situations
Yeah.
to come forward.
Right, knowing that they're not alone.
Yeah, and that their voices matter.
That's right. And this could create a real ripple effect.
You think?
Yeah, not just within Fox Sports, but across the entire media landscape.
So maybe we'll start seeing real changes in how these allegations are handled.
Hopefully, yeah.
Maybe more transparency and accountability.
Right. I mean, imagine a media world where these issues are addressed head on,
Mm-hmm.
where there are clear ways to report these things.
And consequences for those in power.
Exactly.
This case has been really eye-opening.
It has.
It started some important conversations.
And it's really important that those conversations continue.
Yeah, as you follow this story, keep thinking critically about what you're hearing.
Yeah. What would real change look like?
Right.
What actions would actually make a difference?
Those are good questions.
They are, and as the story develops, we'll be here to break it all down.
We will. That's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.